Welcome to Empowered Gardening. Today we're going to propagate vines. Vines are very easy to propagate. Now, propagation means that you take a cutting and you put it into rooting solution, and then you put it into some place so that it'll grow roots.
This means that we don't have to buy more plants because we'll get more plants from propagating. Isn't that wonderful?
We grow them.
Okay.
So this vine has lots of places that we can get cuttings from. But the easiest way to get cuttings is to use the young growth.
Young growth. This is the very end of the vine, right?
Right.
Okay.
And what you want to do is see where the leaves come out. That's called a node.
Okay.
And then the stem between it is called an internode.
Okay, so let me hold this so you can show us how do we get this cutting and where do we cut it?
So I use scissors because I want a nice sharp cut, and I do it at an angle so that we can have a good sized stem to put into the rooting solution, and then to make sure that we get great roots.
Okay, so we put that in water right away, right?
Absolutely.
Because if we forgot about it for a couple of days, that's all right too.
Right.
They don't need to go into the rooting solution right away. Is that correct?
But there's a better chance of success.
Yes.
So if you want to get one vine, make sure you take 6 cuttings or maybe even a dozen cuttings, because they're not all going to root.
Okay, so you have more success if you have more cuttings.
Exactly.
And it might be the only time that you're going to get this particular cutting. So it makes sense to get as much as you can. I think everybody gets the idea now that we have cuttings, put them in water, and then we can put them in rooting solution, and we can show you how we're going to do that later, right?
Absolutely. Now we're ready to actually do the rooting of the cuttings that we just took. So we brought them over in water, and now I've grabbed a few, and we're going to cut them and then put it into a rooting medium.
Okay, how do we do that?
So we take some scissors,
Uh-huh.
and this we're going to notice we have some leaves coming out here and here,
Okay.
and then we're going to cut it above that set of leaves.
Okay.
That's called a node, and we're going to put it into a rooting compound. Rooting compounds you can get in any garden store.
Is it also known as rooting powder?
Rooting powder.
Okay.
And we shake it off. It's a powdery substance. And then with a stick,
Uh-huh.
we make a hole,
Okay.
and we put that in nice and snugly.
And this medium is,
Perlite.
and perlite is very light, I see.
It is very light.
And this can grow straight into the perlite.
It can.
Okay.
We also have vermiculite. That's another rooting medium.
Okay.
And we have some potting soil. I think you have some, right?
Yes, I do. I have potting soil right here. Now that vermiculite is also very light, right?
It is.
Okay.
And it retains water.
Okay.
The perlite doesn't retain quite as much water.
So we'll have to pay attention with the perlite for water retention.
Absolutely.
Right,
And I
so-
sometimes stick it into a little water
Uh-huh.
and then put it right into the rooting powder
So it can stick to it better.
so it can stick to it.
That's great. And then you do the same thing again by
Right.
making a hole in the...
Right. And you can use anything.
Uh-huh.
I found a piece of
Bamboo.
bamboo, absolutely.
Nice.
And put that right in.
Okay. Now,
Okay.
do you prefer one growing medium over another?
I think that they have different uses.
Okay.
But when you're first starting out, if you just have potting soil, that's fine.
Okay.
I like to try to find out the best way to propagate a particular vine.
Sure.
And different vines like different things.
Okay. So I think
So-
I have some here.
Right, why don't you get those
And
in?
I'm going to practice with that. I'm going to cut near the end of that, just like that. I'm going to put it in the water, just like Cindy did, to get it wet. And then I'm going to put it in the rooting powder, just a little bit. There, whoops, that's too much. So I'll shake it off. And then I'll place it, for now, I'm going to put it in my potting soil. See how that's going to do. And then I'm going to put some soil around that. We want it to stand straight up, so there it is.
So when you have a flowering vine, we make sure that we cut off the flowers because the energy will go into opening the flower. This has a couple other leaves, so I want to see if we can make 2 cuttings out of it instead of 1. And we're going to cut that right off there. And we're going to put this into the rooting medium. And that picked it up even though we didn't have any water on it.
Right?
And I'm going to put this into the vermiculite. Because we're using this a tray,
Uh-huh.
what's nice about a tray is it's easier to get into a bag.
Okay.
Although we can put these other ones into a bag too.
All right.
Now you'd want to do that if you were going to propagate inside the house because you don't want direct light on the bag. Now that we have all this, we're going to put it into a bag.
And the reason we do that is why?
Because just like making cakes,
Uh-huh.
you don't want your cuttings to be too dry. You don't want them to be too soggy.
No, we don't.
You just want them moist.
Moist. We want moist vines, and we want them to be successful. They don't like to be soggy, and they don't like to be dry. They like to be just right.
So we're putting this into the bag,
Okay?
and we can fold it over,
And we can put this in the house.
and you can put it into the house. We put this into the rooting hormone
Uh-huh.
a few weeks ago.
We did.
And we've been checking to see if they were rooted.
Yes, we check it daily, as a matter of fact.
So this one, I pulled that and it's coming out pretty easily.
Oh, just like a toothpick in a brownie.
There you
Come
go.
out easily? Is it done? But
So
in this case, in plants, if it comes out too easily, the roots are not there yet. So
Right.
let them keep rooting.
so let's see. This one, oh, I'm tugging at it.
You
See
are.
that? And
yeah.
it's not coming out at all.
It is. Oh, the roots are there.
Right.
That's a good sign.
So we're going to want to get that into a new container.
We are. We're going to want to transplant that. So that means we'll have successful propagation. Right?
Yes, absolutely. It has been successful.
Great.
So I'm going to just take my little finger in there
Uh-huh.
and pull some out,
Okay.
and we'll see how the roots are going. Look at that.
Oh my, look at that. That's just
All
from
those
a couple
beautiful
of
roots.
weeks. Wow. And there we have another plant.
We're going to put some of this potting soil right in here,
Okay.
and we're going to grow this inside,
Yes.
or we could grow it outside.
Okay.
Because we live in Southern California.
We do. We have great weather. We don't have to worry about snow. The best way to get more plants is by propagating them. So try propagation. It's great.
It's not just fun, but it's better to do with a buddy.
Definitely. So please subscribe to Eco Cindy, like it, and share it with everybody you know, and come back and see us again. Bye.